Well, good afternoon, folks. I'm getting ready to go this evening to do a little scouting on the river, see if I can't find some good deer sign, hog sign, just scout a few areas out. And I thought I'd sit here real quick and try to do a quick little video on hogs and how I find them, what I look for, and how I track them on the river. And so let's just say I'm in a place that I haven't spent much time in, or I haven't been to before, and I'm in my boat and I'm going down the river. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for sloughs coming into the river, and I'm looking for oak ridges. And I love walking sloughs, and I love getting in them oak ridges because, well, I mean, the oak deer and hogs are both going to be in those areas. But say I get out the boat and I'm walking down this slough, and let's just say it's a dry slough bed. Them hogs a lot of times will use those dry slough beds like highways, and they'll walk them. And a lot of those slough beds have, you know, holding water in them that the hogs will waller in, and a lot of the times you can find some of your oak ridges along the edges of those sloughs. Excuse me. And so that's the first thing I'm looking for, is places like that where I can say, okay, I can probably go in here and I can start and I can find some sign. And I'm not going in and sitting down in a place and waiting for the hogs to come through. I'm finding sign, looking for fresh sign, and I'm actively tracking them through the swamp. So one of the main things you're going to find, and one of the easiest to recognize, is going to be where they rooted around. And it's going to look like somebody went in with a tiller and just tilled up the ground. It's going to be all messed up dirt, you know, just uprooted all over the place. And you've got to be able to recognize if it's fresh or not. If you get in there and the dirt, if you get in there and the dirt that's rooted up is real dark and still has, you know, a lot of times you can even smell, like if the hogs have been in there a lot, you know, especially if it was a big group of hogs, you can smell them still. But the dirt will have like a dark, you know, it'll be darker, and it'll be more powdery. It won't be, you know, you won't have too many clumps in it to where it's dried. So when you're looking for fresh sign of where they have rooted at, look for that fresh kind of powdery dark soil, and that's how you can tell it's fresh. And then once I find that sorry, allergies is getting to me. Once I find that, then I'm going to start looking for tracks and seeing which, you know, a general direction that they're going. Now, a lot of times when these hogs are going through the woods and they're feeding and they're walking through the woods, they're not going to be going in a straight line right behind each other. They're going to be kind of spread out. So when you find the places where they've rooted at, and you start finding the tracks where they've left, you know, you may see some tracks going off this way. I mean, you may see a whole bunch of tracks, but you kind of look at them and kind of figure on a general direction that they're all going in, and you go that way. And you just keep looking for little signs, tracks, a little spot where they rooted up against a log or something like that, you know, another big area where they've rooted around at. You look for it. Look, just any little sign of a direction that they're going. And I really like to get on the river after, say, we've had some high water and it's been over the banks and the river's flooded over the banks, the sloughs, and the water's got out into the swamp. And after it's receded, you know, you can get in there, the ground's still the ground is still wet, you know, and still mucky, and you can really see a lot of the tracks and everything a lot easier, because sometimes, you know, if it's been dry for a while, some of them tracks and stuff can be hard to see because the ground's hard. And even fresher spots where they've rooted around may not look as fresh because the ground's dry. And so you kind of have to look in there and kind of see, like, does it still have like a damp look to it instead of a dry look. And I'm gonna make a video actually out there and show y'all the difference between you know, older sign and fresher sign. And if that's something, you know, well, let me know in the comments if that's something y'all want to see. You know, if y'all want me to get out there and actually show y'all on boots on the ground how I'm tracking these things down, what I'm looking for. But anyway, you know, when that water starts to recede, you know, that'll actually draw them in to an area that's had water in it, because when that water recedes out, you know, that it'll leave stuff behind that them hogs will come in and eat. So that's another thing to keep in mind is, you know, has the water went down? You know, is there a place where it would have flooded at that I can go in and see maybe if the hogs have come in since the waters fell out? So that's another thing you can look for. But as I'm tracking them, I'm looking for every little bit of, just little bits of sign. Places where they've wallowed around that, and you can tell if it's kind of fresh, if they've been in that waller, if it's got water in it and that water is all chocolate milk, just muddied up where they've been rolling in it recently. If the water, if you can kind of see where the mud is kind of settled, they haven't been in it recently. But if it's real muddy in that waller, they've been in it real recently. And a lot of times you can see some, you know, you'll see fresh tracks around that waller, and you can tell if it's fresh or not. And another thing is like when they're rooting around, sometimes you can see, you know, little puddles of water where they've rooted around at, and it'll be muddied up, you know, so you can tell if it's fresh, you know, a little fresher that way too. But other things you can look for is like on the sides of trees, they'll sit there, and after they waller in the mud, they'll go up and they'll rub up next to a tree, and it'll just rub mud on that tree, and you can look at that mud and tell, you know, if it's dry or if it's still kind of wet looking, to see if it has been recently rubbed on. And that's another thing you can look for, and that kind of gives you a, and you can kind of look at that, and that'll kind of give you a direction of, you know, he was here at the waller, he walked over here, rubbed on that tree. It kind of gives you a little direction on which way to start looking for other sign. Another thing I like to look for out there is big palmetto patches. They love to get in palmetto patches and lay down, and that's, you know, they bed down in them palmetto patches. So if you find a palmetto patch, that may be a place you might want to sit and just look around, take everything in, because you might see them or hear them out in them palmettos. And that's something that I do while I'm tracking, is periodically I'll sit somewhere and take a break, but I'm taking everything in around me. And I'll sit for 10-15 minutes or so, and I'm taking everything in around me. I'm listening, I'm looking, I'm smelling, because if they're close by, you can smell them. And if they're close by and they're feeding around, a lot of times you'll hear them. You know, they're going to be making noise because there's a pecking order in that group, and when they're feeding around, them bigger, more dominant ones are going to be butting the smaller ones away, eating. And so you'll hear them out there. So be listening, be looking, be smelling, and dadgummit, them wasps flying around. But so yeah, where was I at? Yeah, take periodic breaks, sit down, listen, look, smell, make sure the wind is in your face, because if a hog smells you, he's gone. I've had them see me, I've had them hear me, and not pay me too much attention, but if they ever smell me, they're gone. They have a nose better than a deer, and they can smell you. It just the slightest little bit, they can smell you. So make sure, that is crucial, that the wind is in your face so they can't smell you. And if they can't smell you, a lot of times you can ease up and get pretty close to them. And so that's kind of stuff I look for. Another thing, you know, little things to look for is a lot of times, you know, around them, you know, if you see some palmettos and stuff, they'll knock some of them palmettos down and they'll chew on that stem. And so that's another thing you can look for, you know, some sign that they've been through. And like the oak flats, I mean, that's, you know, they coming in and, you know, eating on acorns and stuff there. But, you know, if they've came in already and they've tore a place up, you know, if there's a oak flat in there or a ridge and they've already came in and tore it up, and more than likely they're not coming back in there. And I think that's a lot of the mistakes people make, is they'll find a place and it may be fresh where they've rooted around, and they say, oh man, these hogs have been in here, and they sit right here and they think they're gonna sit and wait for them to come in. Well, there's a chance that they could come in, but if you see where they've rooted at, they've done left. So that's why I track them. You know, they've done 8 right here, they've moved on, they're somewhere else. I need to figure out which way they've gone, look for every little bit of sign I can find, keep the wind in my face, stop periodically, look, listen, smell, because you just never know. You might sit down, you'll be listening for about 5 minutes, and they may be 20 yards over here in front of you or over here, you know. All of a sudden you hear them start up and they're squealing, or you see one walking through the woods, you know, or you just never know. It might be another group of hogs, you know, coming through that it's not even the one you're tracking. So it's always good to periodically stop, you know. It also kind of, you know, helps everything die down. You know, walking through the woods, making a little noise, you know, you're trying not to make noise, but if you're walking through the woods, you're gonna make some noise. It's just gonna happen. So you stop, you're letting things die down, you're resting, and you're taking in everything that's going on around you. So that's kind of a quick rundown of what I do on the river swamp, tracking hogs down. But let me know in the comments if you want me to get out there and do a more in-depth tracking video, scouting video, where I'm out there actually boots on the ground. You know, I'm gonna have some hog videos coming out this hunting season, because I'm hunting public land, so can't hunt all year. It's got to be during the season. But so I'm gonna have some videos coming out this season here in just a few months. But yeah, let me know if this was helpful. Let me know if you want me to do a scouting video, and just if you like the video, give it a like, give it a comment, even if it ain't nothing but a thumbs up. All that helps the algorithm push my videos out there so more people see them, and just helps me out a lot. So I appreciate all of y'all that are watching, all of y'all that are subscribing, and I think I'm about to get some stuff together. I think I'm gonna go hit the swamp and see if I can't find some good spots out there this evening. So hope y'all enjoyed it, and before I get out of here, remember that Jesus loves you, and so do I. Get into the Word, seek God, and see how He can change your life.